My name is Rachel Carter. I'm 32 years old, living in a small town in Oregon. That day, I stood in the middle of the living room, the same room where I had hung every ribbon by hand, blown up every balloon, and arranged every mini cupcake for my own baby shower. But the table remained untouched. No one showed up. 3 hours later, my phone rang. My sister's voice came through, casually. "We thought you canceled. Anyway, it's just the second kid. Not that big a deal." I didn't say a word. I picked up my phone and canceled every single payment I had quietly covered for them over the years. My sister's Wi-Fi, my mom's phone bill, my nephew's tuition. And as I did that, I heard a sound inside. Not sobbing, but something waking up. Have you ever given everything for your family, only to be met with silence that cuts colder than words? If this story speaks to you, leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe to the channel, because in the next part, I'll tell you what happened when they lost the daughter who once carried the entire family on her back. I grew up in a 3-bedroom house in the quiet suburbs of Ashland, Oregon. My dad passed away when I was 11, a sudden heart attack after his second shift. After that, our family wasn't a warm home anymore. Just 3 kids, and a mother trying to tape the broken pieces together with food stamps and swallowed tears. I was the middle child. My older sister, Vanessa, 3 years ahead of me, was always the star. Beautiful, charismatic, but unstable. My younger brother, Alex, 5 years younger, was the baby, the indulged one. And me? I was the easy child, the one my mom always called her quiet pride. By high school, I was cleaning the house, working part-time at a bookstore, and studying on my own to earn a scholarship. When I got accepted into the University of Oregon, my mom hugged me tightly and whispered, "You're the light of this family." I believed her. I lived for that. After graduating with honors in economics, I landed a job as an accountant at a local firm. The salary wasn't high, but it was stable. With my first paycheck, I covered 2 months of back rent for Vanessa. She had just gone through a divorce and was raising her daughter, Chloe, alone. I didn't think twice. When she hugged me, tears in her eyes, I felt right. "Mom always said you were the quiet but strongest one," Vanessa whispered. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Alex was different. He never held a full-time job longer than 3 months. One minute he wanted to be a DJ, then launch a podcast, then study culinary arts to start a food truck. I'd paid for his first-year tuition at community college because my mom cried for nights, saying she didn't want her youngest to give up on his dreams. I sent the money without being asked. Every month, 1/3 of my paycheck went straight to my mom's phone, my sister's bills, and Alex's school fees. I lived simply. No takeout, no vacations. I even postponed having my first child because the family still needs me. Once, I gently said I needed to start saving up for a new car because my old one was falling apart. My mom just laughed. "You're so resourceful, you'll figure it out. Vanessa, you know she's not as strong as you." I don't know why that made my chest ache. I remember my 30th birthday clearly. I didn't celebrate. No cake, no candles. But I transferred $600 to my mom to cover an overdue electric bill, sent $200 to Vanessa for Chloe's new shoes, and $75 to Alex because he needed gear for a new music project. Only my best friend Sophie messaged me, "Are you doing okay this year, Rach?" I typed "I'm fine," then erased it. Wrote "same as always" instead. But I knew I was hollowing out. And I started to realize love in my family wasn't about care. It was about obligation and dependency. The month I got married, my family showed up for exactly 1 hour. My mom sat on the edge of the pew, glued to her phone. Vanessa left early because Chloe had a stomachache. Alex didn't bring a gift. He said, "Being here is enough, right?" No one asked who my husband was, or why I chose him. A public school teacher with just enough to get by, but the first person who ever truly cared for me. Still, I kept sending money. The Wi-Fi bill for Vanessa, the bus fare for my nephew, My mom's credit card debt from accidentally ordering beauty products she couldn't cancel. I kept doing it. No one said thank you anymore, but if I was a day late, my mom would text, "Are you okay? Something wrong?" What she meant was, "Where's the money?" I once had a miscarriage. After nearly 8 weeks of pregnancy, I lost the baby. I told no one but my husband and Sophie. When I took 2 days off to recover, my mom video called me from the kitchen, raising her voice over the background noise. "Can you help me check my phone order? It keeps showing an error." I said, "Mom, I'm not feeling well." She frowned. "You're always sick. You're still young. Don't let laziness become a habit." I never mentioned the baby who wasn't there anymore. I don't remember when I started shutting down emotionally. Maybe it was the day Alex texted, "Sis, send me 200 real quick. I need to buy gear for my studio." I said, "I don't have much extra this month." He replied, "Why are you counting pennies with your own family?" Family. I used to think it meant shelter, arms around you, a place where someone understood and waited for you. But slowly, I realized I was only kept in the family because I still had something to give, because I was still useful. And when I got pregnant again, after fear, hope, and loss, I finally understood what I needed most: a genuine presence, someone who actually wanted to be there for me. But I didn't get that, not from the people I loved most. And everything started to crack. On the very day of the baby shower, I found out I was pregnant again one rainy, chilly March morning in Oregon. The double pink lines showed up clearly on the test, but my heart didn't leap. It slowed down, cautious. After what happened the first time, the cramps in the night, the ER's blinding lights, and my family's silence when I quietly said I'd lost the baby, I no longer believed joy would be met with joy. This time, I kept it quiet for weeks, told only my husband and my doctor. At week 12, when things seemed steady, I finally told my mom, Vanessa, and Alex. "Oh, really?" my mom said on the phone, her voice flat. "Well, that's nice, but don't overdo it. Pregnancies at your age aren't easy." My sister responded with a thumbs-up emoji in the family group chat. Alex sent a single line, "Congrats, boy or girl." That was it. No follow-up call, no offer to help. I told Sophie, my college best friend, and she screamed through the phone, "Oh my God, Rach, you have to do a baby shower. You didn't get a chance last time. This one needs to be special." I laughed, eyes stinging. "I don't think anyone will care." "Then let me take care of it," Sophie said firmly. We agreed on a small baby shower at her place, around 10 people. Some old friends, a few close coworkers. I sent private invitations to my family first, giving them the chance to step up. I still had a tiny spark of hope. I did it all myself. Picked out a vanilla cake with "Welcome Little One" in pastel piping, ordered simple balloons, created a gift list on Amazon, just essentials: diapers, burp cloths, bottles, a baby chair. I sent the invites via email, text, even posted a gentle reminder in the group chat. No one replied. A week later, I texted my mom directly. "Did you see the baby shower invite I sent, Mom?" She read it. 2 hours later, she replied, "Sweetheart, instead of throwing a party, wouldn't it be better to save for daycare? Raising a kid takes more than cake." I stared at that message like it was written in another language. I wasn't expecting fireworks. I wanted someone to ask, "What can I help with?" Or at least a kind congratulation. I typed, "I wanted to share a little joy with the family. No gifts, just presents." Then deleted it. Then typed, "Yes, I understand." That night, I sat on the living room floor, surrounded by ribbons and beige craft boxes, my belly starting to show under an old t-shirt. Beside me was the guest list. Friends confirming one by one. Under family, 3 names, 3 blank checkboxes. A chill crept up my spine, though the heater hummed steadily. That Saturday, the baby shower day, the Oregon sky offered a rare spring sun. I wore the mustard yellow dress Sophie gave me, tied my hair back, dabbed on blush. Deep down, I still hoped maybe they'd show up, even unannounced. 10 o'clock, 11, noon. No one came. Sophie squeezed my hand. "It's okay, you've got us." I smiled, swallowing everything back down. That evening, back home, I opened my phone out of habit and froze. A new photo reel had appeared on Vanessa's Instagram. It was Chloe's 4th birthday party. Held outdoors. A long table, white tablecloths, blush roses, a 3-tier cake, and unicorn balloons everywhere. My mom was grinning by the dessert table. Alex was filming Chloe blowing out candles in slow motion with the caption, "Family over everything." The party date? Exactly the same as my baby shower. I scrolled. A short video, Vanessa giggling while opening a boutique gift. Tiny designer shoes for Chloe. In the comments, a mutual friend wrote, "Gorgeous party. Didn't Rachel come?" Vanessa replied, "Probably busy, or forgot," with a winking emoji. My stomach twisted. The cruelest part wasn't being forgotten, it was being replaced. They didn't forget me. They chose not to come. And when asked, they answered with subtle mockery, as if my absence was expected. I turned off my phone, lay on the bed, hand resting on my belly. The baby kicked, gently, just enough to remind me I was still here. And this time I wouldn't let myself be drained anymore. I opened my phone Sunday morning. A ritual after years of being the responsible one. I needed to check if the automatic transfer to my mom went through, if the phone bill was late, if Vanessa's Target card still had enough to cover Chloe's lunch. I walked into the office and pulled out my chair. My computer was still on from the Zoom call yesterday. I opened the banking tab first. There it was, bold on the screen. Transfer scheduled, $125, mom's Verizon bill, recurring monthly. I hit cancel. The next tab, Vanessa's Target authorized user card. Most recent transaction history? Birthday shopping. Cake, balloons, flowers, dress. I clicked the 3 tiny dots in the top right corner. Remove authorized user. Confirm. Done. Venmo, Alex's account. I opened the transaction history. $75 last week. Podcast subscription, $60. Groceries, $120. Equipment replacement. I hit block. A warning popped up. You will no longer send or receive payments from this user. I selected confirm. As my finger hit enter, a strange sensation moved from my wrist to my chest. It wasn't quite anger, and it wasn't relief either. It was clarity. I opened the list of recurring payments. Utilities for mom's apartment. Canceled. Chloe's tuition fund. Frozen. Alex's Spotify. Cut. Uber card for Vanessa. Revoked. Each action felt like pulling a needle out of my own body. Needles that had been stuck in my veins for years. Under the name of family, under the disguise of duty. But really, they were one-way bloodlines. No one ever asked if I had anything left. No one ever asked what I needed. Every time I gave, they called me kind Rachel. But when I needed something, they laughed, made jokes, chose barbecue parties over me. A while later, I poured myself a cup of herbal tea and stepped out onto the balcony. The Oregon sky was unusually clear that day. I sat in the chair, hand on my belly, feeling the gentle stirrings from within. "Baby," I whispered. "We're going to be fine." My phone buzzed. A notification from the family group chat. Vanessa had changed the group photo to one of everyone at the birthday party. I saw the words "you were removed from the group" flash briefly, then disappear. I wasn't surprised. they had erased me from the family portrait. Because I no longer served as the background to their spotlight. 2 days after I canceled all the automatic payments, my little house became strangely quiet. No more buzzing phones at dawn. No more rushed messages like, "Hey sis, the card's declined again," or "I need money ASAP, text me back." Or worse, FaceTime calls, where no one asked how I was, just read off numbers from a screen and waited for me to hit transfer. Now, silence. A kind of silence I'd never known, and never realized how much I needed. But on the other side, chaos began to spread like ink across a white cloth. Tuesday afternoon, Vanessa called 5 times in 1 hour. I didn't answer. On the 6th try, she left a voicemail. Voice tinged with anger and a bit of panic. "Rachel, what's going on? My Target card got declined at checkout. Chloe's whole cart had to be left behind. What did you do to the account? Call me back. Now." Then a text from Alex. "Yo, did you cut off Spotify? And Uber got denied too? What the heck?" And then my mom. She left a dramatic voicemail. "Rachel, I don't know what's happening, but my phone won't connect and the Wi-Fi isn't working. Can you check it for me? I'm a little worried. Is something going on with the family?" I listened to all of it, said nothing. The next morning, I went to the bank, a small branch our family had used for years. The familiar teller smiled at me. "Haven't seen you in a while, Miss Rachel. What can I help with today?" I handed her the paper in my hand. "I'd like to withdraw all capital from the joint investment account under Carter Vanessa Beauty, LLC." She blinked. "Are you sure? This account is still within its promotional interest period. I'm the contract sponsor and the sole investor. I'd like to withdraw everything and terminate the partnership." Vanessa had begged me 2 years ago to help her open a nail salon. Her dream of ownership after the divorce. I not only put the business account under my name for convenience, but also deposited nearly $28,000 in seed money. In return, I asked for a simple contract. If there were no profit reports after 2 years, I had the right to withdraw funds without cause. Vanessa signed it immediately, without reading. "I trust you," she'd said. I trusted her. That was the mistake. Once the paperwork was complete, I held the withdrawal confirmation. It felt like unfastening a shackle that had bound me for too long. That afternoon, I received an email. "Carter Vanessa Beauty, LLC, business account, has been closed due to insufficient funds." It didn't take long. Vanessa popped up with a message within the hour. "What the hell did you do, Rachel? The salon is shut down because the account is frozen. Are you trying to ruin my entire career? Chloe still needs to eat, still needs school." I set the phone down. Didn't touch the keyboard. I didn't owe them any explanation anymore. That evening, I went for a walk with my husband around our neighborhood. A light breeze stirred the trees under the streetlights. His hand rested on my back. A steady touch I had forgotten I even had. "You okay?" he asked gently. "Are you? Damn it." "For the first time in years," I said, "I feel like I have the right to breathe without asking for permission." He smiled softly. "You never needed permission. You're just remembering that now." We passed by a baby store. In the window was a cream-colored newborn outfit with little clouds printed on it. I hadn't planned to buy anything that day, but I stopped anyway. Looking at that tiny outfit, I wondered, if this child someday learned that their mother used to bow for too long before people who didn't deserve it, would they be disappointed? I won't let that happen. Back home, I reopened an old spreadsheet, family monthly ledger, on my computer. It stretched over 20 lines, detailing every monthly payment I had made for my relatives: Vanessa's rent, Chloe's school fees, Alex's podcast subscription, Mom's phone plan, gym memberships, gas cards, Uber rides. I bolted each line, then deleted them, one by one. A week after I withdrew my investment, erased every financial contribution, and severed all banking links to my family, My front door shook precisely at 6 p.m. I was making tea. The kettle had just whistled softly when the doorbell rang. Urgently? Not once. 3 times in a row. I knew they'd come, sooner or later. But I didn't expect them on a weekday evening, barging in as if I still owed them a reason. When I opened the door, my mother entered first. No knock, no greeting, no glance at my visibly round belly under the oversized sweater. She walked straight in, eyes locked on the living room like it still belonged to her. Vanessa came next, face flushed, handbag swinging with every furious step. Alex followed last, pulling down his hoodie, eyes darting like he was assessing damage from a failed operation. No one asked if I was okay. No one asked how the baby was doing. Mom stood in the center of the room, arms crossed, refusing to sit. "You're throwing everything into chaos," she said sharply. "This is not how families work, Rachel. That baby needs a family." I poured tea into 2 ceramic cups and sat calmly. "A family, huh? Then what kind of family throws a birthday party for Chloe on the same day as my baby's shower?" Vanessa snapped. "Oh my God, are you still stuck on that? I thought you were over it." "You thought?" I tilted my head. "I organized a celebration for my first daughter. Not for gifts, not for a party, but simply to see my family. And not a single person showed up. Tell me, if you were me, could you have thought that was okay?" Vanessa turned away. Alex sighed and dropped onto the couch. All right. Drama's enough. What's the real issue? Why'd you cut off all the payments? I can't cover my gym this month. Even Spotify's down." I set my teacup on the wooden table. "Oh, you can't cover it? Do you even know how much of my money you've used in the past 3 years?" I pulled a folder from the drawer beside me. Inside was a detailed printout of everything I had paid for, by person, by month, by category. Attached were bank confirmation emails, Venmo history, and payment receipts. I laid it in front of them. "Mom?" I looked her straight in the eye. "Total for your phone, internet, and credit card support under my name? Over $14,000. That includes $2,300 for things you said you'd pay back later." I never saw a dime. She pressed her lips tight. I turned to Vanessa. "You left in months of rent after the divorce, $11,500. Chloe's tuition, uniforms, field trips, allergy meds, $6,700. And not counting the $28,000 I pulled from the business account last week that you spent on remodeling the nail salon without providing a single financial report." Vanessa opened her mouth to speak, then shut it again. Alex leaned back. "So what do you want? An invoice? Just send me the bill and get it over with." I looked at him. "You think this is about money?" Alex shrugged. "If it's not about money, then what? You've helped us for years. We're grateful. But now, you just cut it all off out of nowhere. It's like you're saying we're a burden." I let out a quiet laugh, without a trace of humor. "Not like a burden. You are a burden. And the worst part is, you've never even realized it." I stood up and looked at each of them. "Has anyone, at any point in the last 5 years, ever asked me if I was okay? Has anyone asked if I was tired? Has anyone stopped to consider that I have a life of my own, a family of my own growing inside me? Or am I just a walking wallet to you, a living bank account, the good sister, the obedient daughter, the one who never says no?" Vanessa turned away, her hand clutching her purse strap. Alex stared at his phone. My mother blinked. Her eyes wavered. Just slightly, but then hardened again. "You're being dramatic, Rachel," she said. "I know you feel hurt, but cutting ties like this isn't how adults deal with problems." "No, Mom. This isn't cutting ties. This is liberation. And I don't need anyone to validate that." I thought that night would be the peak, that after everything I said, everything I laid out with hard numbers, they'd finally reflect, even just a little. But I had underestimated one thing. When people get too comfortable living off someone else, they'll do anything to protect the benefits, even if it means denial, manipulation, or outright betrayal. 2 days after the confrontation at my house, I received a letter from the bank. A warning about a credit card payment overdue by 90 days. But I had closed all my cards last year. I no longer had any active credit accounts in my name. The letter stunned me. I called customer service immediately. After verifying my information, the representative said something that made my blood freeze. The Visa card ending in 9204 was opened in 2016 under the name Rachel Carter. The billing address is 25 Shady Oak Road, Grants Pass. My grip tightened on the phone. That was my mother's old address, the little house she rented after selling the family home. I asked, who registered the account? We have a copy of the ID on file, but the account holder is Rachel Carter. It was created online. The contact email is carter@familyhome@. I hung up before the agent finished. My heart pounded like someone was squeezing my lungs. That evening, I went to Sophie's house. I needed a quiet place to gather myself. She made me ginger tea and placed a thin folder on the table, something she'd requested from a credit check service on my behalf. On it, in bold red letters, delinquent account, Rachel Carter. Visa opened 2016. Current balance, $12,740.56. I stared at the number, my fingers growing colder by the second. My mother had used my name, opened a card, spent it, never paid, and never said a word. At the same time, Sophie, far more tech-savvy than me, was scrolling through Instagram. She paused, then handed me her phone. You need to see this. Vanessa had just posted a story. It was a pastel-colored party table, a light pink cake with "Welcome Baby" written on top, and balloon arrangements identical to the ones I had designed for my own baby shower. Below it was the caption, "Thank you to everyone who came to celebrate our little one. Blessed." I froze, not because she was pregnant and hadn't told me, but because of the gift table. Every box had the Amazon Registry logo. My Registry. I recognized the cards. I recognized the arrangement. She hadn't just stolen my idea. She had stolen my gift list. Sophie whispered, I think she reused your registry and sent it to her friends. I logged into the backup email I had used to create the registry. There were over 20 notifications of gift selected from people I didn't know. One note read, "So happy for you, Vanessa. Can't wait to meet the little one." Humiliation burned up my throat. I sat in silence, hand resting on my belly. The baby shifted gently, as if unsettled too. I opened the education savings account I'd created for Chloe, one I started when she was 4, intending to help her through middle school. I had been contributing $100 a month, like clockwork. I requested the detailed statement, and there it was, a withdrawal of $4,000 made 6 months ago, labeled Emergency Expense Support. I called the verification line, the representative said. We confirmed the withdrawal via an authorized secondary account holder named Alex Carter. We have the recorded call for reference, if you'd like a copy. I didn't meet it. It was Alex. My own brother had withdrawn money from his niece's education fund, the money I'd saved, dollar by dollar, to pay off gambling debt, and he had never told me. Never shown a shred of remorse. I sat in Sophie's living room, the warm yellow light casting over my unbrushed hair, hands clutching the folder. No longer angry. Only done. The next evening, I invited them over. For the first time, I was the one to initiate. I wanted everything laid bare. Mom arrived first. Same old sweater, same familiar face. Vanessa and Alex followed, standing side by side, their faces stiff as stone. They thought I'd apologize, soften. Maybe. I placed the printed bank statements, the stolen registry copy, and the unauthorized withdrawal from the education fund on the table. No words. I just looked at them, one by one. I'm no longer this family's bank, I said. And don't ever use my name for anything again. Not one more time. 3 days after that final confrontation, an ivory-colored envelope dropped into my mailbox. On the upper left corner, the logo of the same bank where my mother had opened a credit card in my name 7 years ago. I opened it, not surprised anymore, only tired, like rereading a chapter I'd already memorized. Official notice. Due to non-payment of a credit card account for over 120 days and exceeding the allowed balance, the account under the name Rachel Carter will be brought to civil court in Josephine County. The documents included full account statements, an electronic signature, and a notice from the bank's legal representative. I called my attorney that same afternoon. We need to file a fraud claim and request a full legal dissociation from any activity carried out under my name by Sharon Carter, my mother, I said, voice steady and slow. My attorney, Miss Mitchell, was quiet for a moment, then gently asked, "I'll take care of it. But Rachel, are you certain you want to formally separate from your mother? Legally, this is a point of no return." I looked out the window. Late afternoon sunlight fell on the bare trees behind the house. After a long pause, I said, "I don't think I'm walking away. I think I'm finally stopping them from using me without consequence." An hour later, the first message appeared. From Vanessa. "I know I was wrong. I know stealing your registry was too much. But I was under so much stress. I was pregnant, hormonal, impulsive. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry." 3 minutes later, another line popped up. "If you don't want to forgive me, fine. But Chloe misses you." I no longer believed in apologies that came with a but. That night, Alex sent me $200, a meaningless amount compared to what he'd taken from his niece's education fund. No message, just a link to a new podcast episode he had uploaded to his old platform. I clicked it, listened for the first few minutes. Alex's voice was low, feigning depth. Some people think they're betrayed when you speak the truth. But sometimes, the truth just isn't as pretty as they want to hear. I was cast out by my family for speaking up. Today's episode is about how to overcome the wounds inflicted by the ones closest to us. In Alex's version of the story, I was the cruel one, the woman who cut off her own blood over a few bucks, while he, the one who raided his niece's savings to pay off gambling losses, was the misunderstood victim, hated for telling the truth. Nothing came from my mother. Until Friday morning, when my voicemail showed a missed call from a familiar landline. I hesitated, then played it back. "Rachel, it's Mom. I know you're angry. I know you feel betrayed, but lawsuits aren't the answer. Families shouldn't take each other to court. Think about the baby. She needs a grandmother. You need your mom. Who's going to help you later on?" No apology, no ownership, just guilt-tripping, reminders of duty, and the fear of being alone. Every sentence carefully crafted to make me feel like I was the cold one, for not letting them make things right in their way, which meant going back to silence, going back to paying. That night, I opened my laptop, logged into the shared management portal I had once used to oversee my mom's credit card. I deleted every entry, closed the account, and submitted a request to sever all ties associated with my name. Each step required a verification code sent to my phone, each step confirmed by fingerprint. There was no path back. One day later, Ms. Mitchell called me back. "Your file's been accepted by the bank. We're submitting a request for liability exemption, along with documentation of the fraudulent registration and mismatched login IPs. Chances of approval are very high." I leaned back on the sofa, morning light filtering through the thin curtains. The baby inside me shifted softly. I placed my hand on my belly. Everything now was no longer about who needed what from me, but what I chose to keep for the little one growing every day inside me. 6 days after submitting the final legal paperwork, I got a text from Sophie. "No plans this Sunday, right? Put on something comfy and come over." I won't take no for an answer. I knew her well enough to know. When Sophie said, "Don't ask," it was best to let her do it her way. That Sunday, I arrived at her small apartment in the southern suburbs of Ashland. Early summer sun spread gently across the stone walkway. I stepped in and froze. Her living room had been transformed into a soft, warm space, all in shades of cream, my favorite color. On the wall was a hand-cut paper banner. "You're not alone, Mama." About 8 people were there. All true friends. None of them were family. None had ever borrowed money from me. None had ever faked concern. They were people who had asked if I was okay and waited for the real answer. I laughed when I saw the gift corner. Not big, expensive boxes, but small, thoughtful items chosen with care. Burp cloths, a portable bassinet, a nursing pillow. One came with a note, for a soon-to-be mom who's always taking care of others and finally deserves care herself. Sophie came over and hugged me tight. "Better late than ever, right?" I didn't say anything, just nodded and leaned my forehead against her shoulder. For the first time in months, I felt fully present in a space, without having to prove I deserved to be there. The following week, I gave birth. It happened on a quiet morning. I went into labor at 4 a.m. Called a cab to the hospital with Sophie by my side. No family, no frantic calls asking for updates. Just me, Sophie, and peace. She was born at 8:04 a.m., a healthy baby girl with thick black hair and gently furrowed brows, as if already deep in thought about the world. I named her Lila June. The nurse asked if I wanted to notify anyone. I shook my head. "Please write this in the file. Mother, Rachel Carter, I'm the sole guardian." I held my baby, feeling the fragile warmth of her tiny skin against my chest, and I knew, even if no one was waiting for her outside the delivery room, she was born into unconditional love. During the first week, I didn't tell anyone in my family. No social media posts, no pictures sent. Only one photo, Lila asleep, peaceful. I pinned it above my desk as a reminder. I'm done chasing those who choose distance. My love belongs to the one who found her way into my heart. 3 weeks after Lila was born, I created a small scholarship fund in her name, Lila's Fund. It wasn't a large fund, just a few $1,000s I had redirected from what used to be my family support budget. But this time, instead of giving to people who saw me as their financial pillar, I used that money to provide small scholarships to single mothers under the age of 25 attending community colleges in Josephine County. Women like me, or rather like the version of me who wouldn't have made it without education, work, and friends like Sophie. I wrote the mission statement myself, submitted the paperwork to my former college, and received a reply from the dean. "Thank you, Rachel. Your story will inspire so many, and Lila's Fund will change the lives of young mothers who have no one else." The next morning, Lila and I went to the park near our home. The sky was clear. She lay in her stroller, eyes half open, as if trying to understand why the world held so much light. I sat on a wooden bench, opened my notebook, and began writing the first lines for my next small project. A blog for mothers who were starting over. I called it Still Standing, because I was still standing. Not broken, not bent into old roles, just a mother, with a heart healed by the choice to let go. I stood in Lila's room on a July evening, warm yellow light spilling across the small white crib by the window. She was fast asleep, her round face rosy, tiny fists softly curled, as if dreaming something sweet. This room used to be a storage space, where I kept the old washing machine, cardboard boxes, a few unused suitcases. I cleared it out during my final month of pregnancy, painted the walls a soft gray, hung linen curtains, and spent nearly a week assembling each little piece of furniture. Not because I wanted an Instagram nursery, but because I wanted Lila to enter this world with a space that was truly hers, free of adult burdens, untouched by old conflicts. I sat in the rocking chair beside the crib. My hand gently rocked it. Lila furrowed her brow in her sleep, then let out a soft sigh. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. A low, unfamiliar sound in a room used to nothing but soft wind and lullabies. No buzzing phones. No urgent transfer requests. No guilt-tripping dressed up as family concern. I had once lived in a world where every relationship came with a price tag. Every thank you disappeared behind, "Can you help just this one more time?" Every time I faltered, it was wrapped in phrases like, "You're strong, you'll get through it." They didn't want me to be okay. They just needed me to keep holding it together so they wouldn't have to. I looked at my daughter and suddenly pictured the day she might ask, "Mom, why isn't our family like other families?" She might ask that when she sees no grandparents at her birthday, no aunts or uncles calling on the weekends, no family chat filled with lazy messages I used to answer first, only to be met with silence. I've thought about that question many times. At one point, I even rehearsed answers, ways to protect her from disappointment, to soften the truth. But now, I know I don't need to rewrite the story. I just need to tell the truth in the gentlest voice. My old family didn't want to keep me when I stopped carrying everything for them, but I built a new family from the ground up with real love. She may not fully understand it at first, but she'll feel it. In every meal made with care, every toy chosen thoughtfully, every time she falls and is picked up with both of my hands, not rushed, not scolded, not met with, "Why are you so clumsy?" I can't promise I'll be the perfect mother, but I know I will never make her feel like love is something she has to earn. I won't let her believe she must repay affection just to exist. I won't let her carry the burden of being useful to feel worthy of staying in someone's heart. I stood, gently pulled the blanket over Lila's belly, cream-colored, hand-stitched, with a flock of swallows flying home. We had lived through a long winter, and now the little birds were finding their way back. I remembered the day I drew a line and said, "Enough." I stood alone, not one voice beside me. But I chose to believe I was worth more than being everyone else's support beam. And somehow, alone, I still found the way back to light. Maybe they thought if they turned their backs, I would crumble. That if they cut off what they called love, I'd come crawling back, afraid to be left behind. That no one could mother alone, stand alone, forgive herself and begin again. From ruins, from loneliness, from the very place they walked away from. Have you ever felt the same? When family was no longer a refuge, but a weight you carried in silence for years? If you have, I hope this story made you feel less alone. Have you ever had to choose between being who they needed and becoming who you truly are? I want to hear your thoughts on family, on boundaries, on starting over. Leave a comment below. Share your experience or your perspective. Because maybe your story will be the light someone else needs in their darkness. And if this journey resonated with something inside you, don't forget to follow this channel. There are many more stories waiting to be told about family, loss, healing, and hope. Stories that might sound a lot like yours.